Ois Gimel. So the Rebbe was discussing before how the Torah was given first in a way of a klal and then a prat, Anuch Hashem Elekecha, the set of Mamoris that include all of the Torah. The Rebbe asked, why wasn't the Torah given in its detail, l'chatchila? Same thing in creation of the world. First, it was in a way of a klal. The Maimer Echad, there is the level of Chochma or the Keser or the higher, and then it comes out in the Asora Mamoris in the details. Why did the Eberster not create Lachatchila in a way of a Beprotis in detail? The Rebbe is going to now give an example from the way the Hamshocha from the Rav, from a teacher to the Talmud, to the student, the way it works over there. And we see over there, in order for the student to be able to properly understand what the Rav and the directions and not to deviate, not to go through different ways than the Rav is intention. So the Rav gives first in a general way, and then it gives in a specific way. And this will give an explanation why, if the Eberster wants there to be a world and the world to be bottle, so there has to be the Hamshocha in this way, as the Rebbe will explain. Gimel. V'yuvon zeh, we will understand it, al pi moshul the hashpoa seichel merav l'talmid, based on the moshul of the way the hashpoa, the flow that goes from the flow of ideas, of intellect, the way it goes, merav l'talmid, from the rav to the student. The Amru Chazal, our sages of blessed memory, said, "La'olam yishana odom l'talmidoi b'derech kitzara." A person should always teach his student in a short way. Now, short way means this is in a way, a short way, not a short seichel, not less. The path needs to be in a short way. What does that mean? So he says like this: "V'yadu hadiuk b'haloshin derech kitzora." So we're saying the teaching should be in the short path. Doesn't say v'loy seichel kotzer, not to give a short idea. The seichel, the intellect, should be short. The path, the delivery, the way you give it to the student should be in a short, precise way, in a way of a nekuda, which means we're not talking about not giving all of the seichel to the student. We're talking about how you give him all the seichel. That all of the seichel is in a derech kitzora, it's all included in a nekuda. Shetzorich lahashpia lahatalmid kol ha'omek v'haprotim shebahaseichel. It's necessary to give to the student the entire depth and all the details of the seichel. In other words, you're not cutting down on the seichel. You give him everything. Elo shekol zet tzorich lelamdoi b'derech kitzora. But all these details and everything, you have to teach it to him. The presentation needs to be b'derech kitzora, needs to be in a short way, which is b'diburim kitzorim, short words. Shemehem yochel hatalmid lahavin kol haprotim, that from that the student will be able to understand all the details from the short, the delivery from the short giving from the Rav to the Talmud. He understands all the details, this is a moshul of when the Eibishter creates the world, gives it in a way in which everything is included, and then it's in a short way which includes all the detail. So he gives an example. Hamishna sheshono lonu rabbeinu. Say, for example, the Mishnah that was taught to us by our Rabbeinu Kodesh. He's the Rav, sort of. We're the Talmidim. We're learning the Mishnah. Shebeloshin HaMishnah yeshnam behelam kol haprotim. In the language of the Mishnah, in a hidden way, exists all the details. Ha'oirech, ha'reicha, v'ha'omek. The length, the width, the depth. It's all included in the Mishnah. Shenisbayer achar kach b'Gemara. That was later on explained in the Gemara. It all exists in the Mishnah. Elosha b'Mishnah heim b'kitzur nimrutz. But in the Mishnah, all of these details are very short. והטעם על זה שההשפעות צריכה להיות בדרך קצרה דווקא. So what's the reason? So now let's understand, why is it necessary that the hashpah should come in a short way, in a derech kitzara davke? Who? What's the reason? Ki be'im yashpia loi betchila kol haprotim begilu. If the teacher should give in the beginning, to start off, instead of first giving the short, but start off right away with kol haprotim begilu, all the details openly in the beginning, yizbalbelu chusha talmid. So the qualities of the student, his abilities will be confused. You'll confuse the student's abilities to grasp properly. So too much detail in the beginning, the student is not going to be able to take, is going to confuse him. V'gam efsher, and also it's possible shemitzad ribui hahispashtus, that because of so much expansion of all the details of the idea, yelech b'derech akalosin, he will go in a crooked way. He's not going to follow the straight path. He's not going to get it. There's too much details. And he's going to take it in the wrong direction. That's why you need to teach him in a short way. What you're doing in a short way, that way, the idea, the seichel, comes in a limited shape, so that he knows the idea generally. So it's been shaped and it's been formed that he knows it in a general way. And so once you know it in a general way, through this, even after he looks into, he studies the details, with the many multiple ideas, then this expansion will follow, it'll be in the way the short words were shaped, will follow the shape and the idea of the short sayings, and he will not go in a crooked way. So there's two reasons the Rebbe brings down why the Rav must first give in a general way. Number one, giving all the details, the Chatchila is overwhelming for the student and it may confuse the student. And number two, we want to first give the general limitation of the idea so that later on, when we give the details will fall in line with the general idea. If you would just give all the details, might go in wrong directions. So we see that's the explanation why when there's hashpah from the Rav to the Talmud, it has to come in a way, first in a general way, and then you go to the details. So this speaks of how the actual hashpah, that flow of idea, that seichel, goes to the Talmud B'Poyel, is the actual presentation from the Rav to the student. Before the actual presentation from the Rav to the student, there is the way the idea comes to the Rav also. So over there too, the way the idea comes to the Rav, the way it's in the seichel of the Rav, over there we also have these same two ifanim, the same two ways. One is the general idea, and then the idea, the way it's separated for the student. Let's look inside. Just as it is in the flow of the Talmud in actuality. The beginning of the hashpah needs to be dafke specifically in a short way. Al derech zeh hu gam behamtzoas haseichel hashayich lehatalmid b'rav atzma. In a similar way is the idea of the seichel that the Rav creates in his mind, he finds in his mind that idea that he wants to present, the way that idea develops in the Rav's mind is also, Barav Atzmai, also comes in a nekuda and then a detail. The tchilas hamshochas v'hamtzoas haseichol, the beginning of the extension of this specific seichel that goes to the story, to the student, the hamshochas v'hamtzoas, and the idea of the seichel, he b'bchinas nekuda. It starts off in the level of a point. Hine yodua shebeseichel harav kolul gam chitzonis haseichel sheshayich la'talmid. It's known that within the Rav's understanding, the way he understands it himself, not what he gives to the student, but his own seichel, in that seichel, kol gam chitzonius haseichel. That seichel also is included the externality of the seichel sheshayich lahatalmid, that that is fitting for the student. Within the Rav seichel, there is also the externality of the seichel, which is something that belongs and applicable to give to the student. Elo, but what happens is harav, when it is included in the Rav's idea, seichel, intellect, hine noisav lozeh she'eino nikar sham bifnei atzmei. So, in addition to the fact that the idea is not recognizable over there independently, you don't see an externality of seichel, a seichel that is shaykh to Rav, within the Rav seichel. You can't tell. Because that external seichel that belongs to the Talmud is included and mixed in with the inner of the seichel. So besides the fact that you can't tell, it's not visible, the seichel of the Talmud as it is included in the Rav. Hinegam chitzonius haseichel, but when it's still in the mind, in the seichel of the Rav, also the externality of the seichel hashayich la Talmud that belongs to the student who beribui oir is with lots of light. So it's too powerful, too much light there, too much seichel in there as it is. Even those details that belong to the student, which is not visible at the time, but those details are too powerful. That's why the Rav needs to restrict his seichel, his idea hainu, lahalim es seichel asichlo atzmi shelo yoir klal. He has to block out his essence, seichel, of his own, for it not to shine at all. Block it, obscure it, be my limit. When you block it, nivdal hachitzonius mehapnimius. So both things that we said before. First of all, this creates and separates that the externality is separated mapnimius from the inner. The external of the seichel becomes separate from the inner of the seichel. The chitzoni is the seichel that shayich to the Talmud becomes visible now. V'nikar b'fnei atzmei, and you can tell it by itself. You see the seichel, you see the idea that it becomes, that it's a seichel, a chitzoni, that the Talmud can get it. So that's number one. But also, the gam hachitzonius shenimtza etzlei az hu b'vchinas nekuda bilvad. But also the chitzonius that is by him, it's recognizable, but then it's in a way of just a nekuda, not expanded, but just in a nekuda. V'rak la'achrei zeh, only after this, lifnei shemashpia b'poyel, before he actually gives over, actually the seichel, before he gives the flow of the seichel, hu mishayer ba'atzmai es haprotim sheyashpia lamakabel. Then he estimates by himself the details that he's going to give in the flow, in the idea to the recipient, after he has first a nekuda. So first he has to be mitzamtim the seichel, so that it's visible, the chitzonius, and also it's in a way of a nekuda. Before he actually gives it over, he estimates the details, what he's going to give. So what's the reason that in the beginning the seichel comes in a way of a point? Because if the seichel that belongs to the student, if to begin with it was in a situation that it expanded in many details, if the seichel would not be a nekuda, but if the Rav would have all the details of the seichel of the student in the seichel of the Rav, it would be l'chadchila ba'ofen the spashtus b'rivu protim, in a way of expansion in many details. Yiu oz haprotim ba'ofen k'moi shehem noivim seichel harav. So then these details, the details of the seichel, they would be in such a way as they flow from the intellect of the Rav, with a lot of light. They would not be directed and fitting to the qualities of the student, to the qualification of the student, because these details would have been on a much higher level. They would be, you need to first have the general, the Nakuda, and then you can estimate after that what this student can get. And therefore, Hamtsos HaSeichel B'tchilo, the way the idea bringing about the Hamtsoh, the coming in of the Seichel, in the beginning, Hu B'bchinas Nekuda. So that's in a level of a Nekuda, which is Inyan Shel His Almus. That is a level of obscurity. It's not revealed. Sha'ali Dezen Nigbal HaSeichel. So that Nekuda limits the Seichel. The im heyoyshe behanekuda klulim kol haprotim sheyashpiach kach latalmid. Although in this nekuda are included all the details that he will give later on, mashpia, give it to the student. V'yiseidim, and it's even more than that. Sheyesh behanekuda behelem gam mipnimis hasechel. That in this Nekuda, there's also hidden from the inner seichel of the Rav. Here we're talking about the seichel that comes about from the Rav to give to the Talmud. It first comes in a way of a Nekuda, even though the Nekuda has all the details, but it's a Nekuda. So why? Because so it has all the details. But since all this is hidden in the Nekuda from the Seichel when it's by the Rav, Hine al Yideze Nase Hagbola V'Tziur Klolis B'Haseichel. So through this, the fact that it's a Nekuda, that creates a limitation and a general shape in the Seichel, it should be in a way that is fitting, that belongs to the way he should be able to give it to the student. After this limitation was made in this idea, so then, even after it extends in the width and expansion, when it details all the details, so then the widening of the all the different ideas, they will remain faithful. They will be according to the way of the limitation and the shape of the Nekuda. So the Rebbe says not only is the actual Hamshocha that the Rav gives the student a derech kitzora. So that's talking already about the actual seichel as it's presented to the student. So we say basically the Rav presents the seichel in a concise way, in a derech kitzora, which includes all the pratim. That helps that all these pratim later on, when the student will get it, that it should go in the right way, the right direction, and to be able to come to the right conclusion. So we need first the Rav to give it in a general way, so not to confuse the student, and also so that later on that general limitation will guard that later on, when you get the student who gets the details, he's going to follow the limitation of the general idea. That's in the presentation to the student. But then the Rebbe explained the same thing is true in the presentation that the Rav has in himself, the way it comes down within the seichel of the Rav. So basically, the you need the Rav needs to take and make the seichel that he's going to present available in his own mind. Everything is mixed together in the seichel of the Rav, his own essence seichel, as well as the externality of seichel that belongs to the student. That's all included. But when it's in the seichel harav, and it's not, besides not being visible, it's also a very strong, those in that chitzonius haseichel, there's also a lot of it's in a higher level than is the Rav is able to present to the students. So that's why what the Rav, how is the come about that seichel that is shaykhs to later on give in the Rav's mind? So first of all, he needs to contract, restrict his own seichel, the Rav. And once it's restricted, then first of all, you can tell now the seichel that it belongs to the student. You see the chitzonius, and the chitzonius also at that point is still in a way of a nekuda. It's still in a way of a point by the Rav. Only later on, the Rav goes into the details, but at that point, you have a stronger, just like it's a stronger light, meaning it's a more powerful, it's still the chitzonius haseichel as it is in the Rav's mind before he actually starts giving it out to the student. And the reason why we need that nekuda, we need the seichel to come, even as we need the chitzonius haseichel to be in a nekuda, because if it was in great detail, so then it would be like too much light in the seichel, shaychel, talmud would be too much light, and it would not fit. The ideas will not fit for the students. So can't have all the details in the Seichel Rav. It has to be as the Rav develops the idea. So first of all, the Rav needs to make the ideas, the Chetzenius, in a way of a Nekuda, which is a Helem, it's a Tzimtzum, it's not to give out everything. That limits the Seichel. And then later on, when the seichel comes out to the student in detail, it follows the nekuda. So basically, in order to be a proper hamshocha, it has to first come in the seichel of the Rav, as well in the presentation to the student. It has to come down first in a level of nekuda. Nekuda is in a point, that's the tzimtzum, that restricts the light, and that's the way the idea can come down to the student, and that's the way the student will be able to understand it first in a way of a nekuda, and then it comes the hispashtus. So this is really just like the flow from a teacher to a student is the flow from the way the Eibishter creates the world. First, you have it in a general way, and you have Maimer Echad, and then you have Basora Mamoris. And the Rebbe is going to elaborate in Oizdalid how it works Lamaila, and also in both ways, in the actual creation, and also in the Rotzen of the Eibishter, like the two examples we bought by the Rav and Talmud. And then the Rebbe is going to further ask, but L'cheira, it's different, as we will continue in Mitzvah Shem the next time. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good day.